Lemonada.
I'm putting so much pressure on myself to say something interesting. We're off to a great start, folks. The last time I remember feeling this much pressure was when I'm Glad My Mom Died came out. Before a book is published, it's sent to critics. They get like the early preview of it, and they read it, and so that they can have their reviews. And you hope to get good reviews because then that generates good buzz, whatever. My book was sent to Booklist and Kirkus and another, I don't remember the third big one, but it got these starred reviews. So I knew going in like, oh my God, it's going to be critically acclaimed. That's amazing. That's cool. And I really had no expectation for how it would do commercially until I got an email I was not supposed to be on that email thread. It was supposed to be between other people. And in the email thread, it said, like, how are we looking on pre-sales for McCurdy's book? Do we think we'll make number one for like the New York Times bestseller list? And I had high hopes that it would maybe make the list. But then when I saw that email, that there was some expectation or even pressure on it landing in the number one slot, it was like I became fixated on that, obsessed. My heart's like pounding even while I say this. It was all I could think about. Like, I needed that book to become the number one New York Times bestseller. I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but if the book had debuted, it did debut at number one. If it had debuted at number two, I would have sobbed. I would have felt like a fucking failure. I would have felt so bad. And it's because of that expectation. It's because of that pressure. And my God, like that's scary to admit, but that's absolutely the last time I felt this much pressure. So that happened a year and a couple months ago. Cut to, what is it? August, September, 14 months later, this podcast is coming out. And this is like my first project that's being released to the public since the book. And so, as you might be able to imagine, coming off of that success, I'm putting that much pressure on myself for this to be as successful. The never-ending chase of success. It's a fun one. And by fun, I mean, somebody throw me off a cliff right now. I care about making things that are good and the content being good. And now this book has exploded the way it has. And it's, I believe, very good. I stand by every word. I really like the content of it. And so now I'm putting this pressure on the podcast to have equal quality of content. And it's also scary because, like, the book I spent writing it, over a year and some odd months. And I had many drafts to really get it right and say exactly the right thing. And that's a part of writing that I really love is, nobody's going to be surprised here, but the control. I love to have that control of, I write it and I rewrite it and I rewrite it and I rewrite it until it's fucking great. And this is like just me talking. I'm not writing these out ahead of time. I don't know. I'm trying to own all parts of myself too, like the instincts for control. That's part of the purpose of this podcast is I just want to just be as transparent as possible because I'm frankly like sick of how socially we have to pretend like we live in these little like narrow, tiny lanes of emotional expression, just the good ones. Even like jealousy. Jealousy has become kind of an acceptable emotion. It's now one that like we can talk about at parties and what have you. And different emotions, I think, take turns in being trendy or not. But like being controlling, not hearing anybody waving those flags, not hearing anybody quick to own those. And I want to, so I can win. That's the most honest thing I've said. No, I really want to be, I want to get there first. I want to. I think I can. I want to be honest and true and accept all parts of myself. I don't want to pretend. I pretended for too long. For those of you who don't know, I once upon a time had a career as a child actor. So my whole childhood and adolescence were spent just pretending to be things that I'm not. And now I want to like own all of myself, warts and all, and just try my best to accept it on any given day. And some days it's a lot harder than others, candidly. You know, some days it's just like, fuck, I'm disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed with how small I can be in moments and how petty I can be in moments. And I wish I was bigger and grown and evolved past all of that. But like, it's just, those are all different shades of me. And I'm trying to accept all of those shades and, I was going to say love all of those shades, but that feels like a reach. You know what? Let's just take it one step at a time. Accept. I'm just trying to accept those parts of me. So in moving kind of toward this next phase of my career, I am met with this new reality or new, how do I say this? Like having to reframe a narrative. So an old narrative that I used to have was I'm an underdog. I always felt like an underdog. I'm undervalued was another one. I'm undervalued. I'm an underdog. This was one of my really key driving narratives. And let me tell you, feeling like an underdog drove me to work my fucking ass off. I just, had something to prove, had that chip on my shoulder. I'm an underdog. I'm undervalued. It informed every decision I knew I was making, and even ones I didn't realize I was making. Like this just was part of my chemical makeup. It was in everything that I did. And now I don't have that narrative to lean on. Now I can't say, oh, I'm an underdog or I'm undervalued. Coming off of all of this success, it's like, okay, I'm met with the need to reframe a narrative, and in reframing that narrative, find a new driving force. Because it's a little outdated and expired if I'm using that narrative to still drive me. So what narrative have I replaced it with? I think I need to do it again. Okay. Had that kind of success once, check, thank you very much. Now I want it again. I want to prove to myself that I can do it again. And see, what's interesting in that to me is that I found a way to make it about needing to prove myself again. It's so obvious to me that that's like the leading unhealthy driving force in my life is this desperate need to fucking prove myself. Frankly, I'm exhausted by it. Like, I am tired of it. I want to know what life would look like if I didn't feel this constant gnawing need to prove myself. What am I even trying to prove? I guess I'm trying to prove that I'm smart, funny, interesting, talented, and every other positive adjective in the dictionary. It's kind of true. Oh, it's really quite sad when you think about it. Like, there's always like the things that it goes back to in therapy too, right? Where it's like, I'm trying to prove that I'm enough or that I'm worthy. And it's like these words are so ambiguous. I don't fucking know. Like, there's nothing to latch onto. But when I say smart, funny, talented, I can actually latch onto those. And I can say that I know I feel like I'm trying to prove. That feels true to me. Maybe it takes more work to get to the place where I'm able to recognize that it's like, that I want to feel like enough or worthy of love or something. But honestly, there's a part of me too that even like, if I see somebody who I think who I assume feels like they are enough or worthy of love, I feel angry. I feel pissed off. I feel irritated at them. I feel like they're so fucking annoying. Like I have this like hobby of late night watch. It's like the thing that I watch before I fall asleep. I'll watch vloggers. Like, you guys, I'm watching I'm watching like 18-year-old vloggers go to Home Goods and buy Halloween decorations. What is happening? I'll watch housewives, always with the husband named Wesley. He's always named Wesley, that guy. They'll like show their pumpkin bread recipe and they'll have like little yarn in their hair and they don't say G's at the end of their words that absolutely have G's on them. They'll be like, I'm just cooking, I'm just cleaning, I'm just having a lovely day. I want to be like, fuck you. You're not having a lovely day. Like they just like ooze this okayness with life and themselves that I'm jealous of. And it makes me angry. Like, I don't know. Am I jealous of it? Because it's like, I also don't want to be that. I don't want to be fucking making pumpkin bread and throwing yarn in my hair. It's like, I like a lot of parts of me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I enjoy hanging out in my company. I enjoy myself. I enjoy being who I am. And my God, have I worked hard to get here. So there's aspects of myself that I really appreciate. But the thing that I would like to change is that being motivated by not being, enough or feeling worthy of love without, I guess, being talented. I'd love to not be driven by this need to prove myself exhaustively, always, constantly. Like, I want to know what that, what I honestly thought? I want to know what kind of work that would bring to the table. How would my work look then? Oh boy. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. How's your Tuesday? There's more Hard Feelings with Lemonada Premium. Subscribers get exclusive access to bonus content, and you can subscribe now in Apple Podcasts. I'm Jennette McCurdy, the creator, executive producer, and host of Hard Feelings. It's produced by Lemonada Media in coordination with Happy Rage Productions. Our production team is Keegan Zema, Aria Bracci, and Brian Castillo. Music is by Hannes Brown. Steve Nelson is Lemonada's Vice President of Weekly Content. Rachel Neal is Lemonada's Senior Director of New Content. Executive producers are Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, and me. Listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.